Hey guys, it's Haley. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have another scary story for you guys. Y'all seem to really enjoy the last set of scary stories I told, so I thought that I would go ahead and do another one. So I'm going to be reading two different stories. The first one is going to be a little bit graphic, a little bit disturbing, so if you're not into like blood and gore, that sort of thing bothers you, then come back for another episode. That's totally okay. And the second story, if talking about suicide or any of that bothers you a great deal, again, choose another episode. I'll be back. These scary stories will be back, and they'll be content for you if you're not into stories like that. Otherwise, I would like to get started, but I just want to say one quick thing. We hit 10,000 subscribers. I honestly never anticipated that ever happening, and I'm so beyond excited and thrilled and grateful. And I just want to say, without being cheesy or doing what 100 million other YouTubers do, it really means so much to me that you guys care and enjoy what I'm putting out, and I hope I can continue to post videos and not have such big spaces of time in between when I post. I want to be more consistent, and I just kind of need to figure out a schedule, what days I want to post, how often I want to post. But with all of that aside, I just want to say thank you. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. If you thumbs up my videos because you enjoy them, thank you so much. I'm not someone that's ever going to ask you guys to subscribe or thumbs up my videos, just because I want you to only thumbs up if you enjoy the content, and I only want you to subscribe if you enjoy my videos and want to see more. Otherwise, I totally understand if you just want to come for one video every now and again. That's totally cool. I have channels like that where I'm not subscribed. I just watch a video every once in a while. So before I rant into a totally off-topic mess, I'm going to go ahead and come back to where we need to be, which is where I'm going to tell you a scary story. So the first two I told you were from a website that was all about like, oh, these are true stories, blah, blah, blah. This story, it sounds true, it could be true, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say, this is like 100% a true story, because I don't know that for a fact. And I guess I didn't know the other two stories were true for a fact, but they were more advertised as true. This is on the website Reddit, if you're familiar with Reddit. I will let you decide if you think it's true or not, but let's go ahead and begin. So this story is called The Emeralds Inside of Her, and it is submitted by a user named Charlotte Corner. The title is self-explanatory, I guess. All names here are fake for the sake of privacy. After all, we're dealing with an ongoing police investigation. I can't reveal certain things, but you can call me Charlotte. I'm 28 years old, and I've been working as a coroner for the police for a few years now. It was actually my first and only job after an internship during med school as an assistant for the main coroner. They liked my work and decided to hire me after the internship was over. I started this story by telling you this for a very simple reason. Someone who has no work experience in the field will think everything is weird. This is not the case for me, as I've been working for years as a coroner, and believe me, since I live in the biggest city in my country, I really have seen it all. From suicides, accidents, to even murders, there's an enormous list of horrifying corpses I've dealt with. For example, I recall a case maybe 2 or 3 years ago. A whole family, father, mother, and 2 kids, a 5-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. The father was drowning in debt and decided to kill himself. However, he brought his family with him. He made dinner and poisoned the food with rat poison. The wife and the youngest ate and died almost immediately, but the little girl didn't eat, so he hung her from the dining room chandelier and shot himself in the end. His head was barely there, the face itself having been exploded by the impact of the bullet. The most terrifying part is that the kid didn't die immediately, as the chandelier was barely a foot over the table, which made it impossible to break her neck and cause an instant death. She choked for almost 15 minutes. She saw her dad shoot himself in the head and splatter her legs with his brain. She had to see her family corpses as she died in the most agonizing way possible. It's something that just makes you feel really bad when you think about it. But do you know what I did after finishing this case? Went out to dinner with a friend. Something you learn in this field is to not let your work affect your outside life. Once I leave the morgue, I do my best to forget about what I was doing there. My job is to find out when, how, and why these people died, and only that. To feel about them is a waste of time and mental energy. It's not my job to find who or what did this to them, and sometimes not even police can bring them justice. You either shrug it off or grow more and more bitter as you see so much senseless violence in the world. This case, however, broke all of my work ethics. It was Friday evening. Fridays are usually full of work, but this time everything was pretty uneventful. I was reading a book in the morgue, listening to music, nothing out of the ordinary. However, I received a call from one of the officers. I'll call him Officer Chris for the sake of the story, but we're not exactly friends, but quite close. He's my age, but a rookie, so he's spooked really easily. It was no surprise when I heard his voice shaken, but somehow I could feel deep in my bones that something truly strange was happening. Call it intuition, but something in how he tried so hard to be calm and yet failed, it really spooked me. "Hey Lottie, we're bringing a case for you," he said. That couldn't be more vague. "What do we have tonight?" "It's, just one person." He always refused to say corpses. "I can't really explain. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, so you better see it yourself. I gotta go." Chris didn't leave me time to ask for details, so I had to wait. My patience was running low and I couldn't concentrate on reading my book like before. My peaceful night had changed for the worse, and the goosebumps I got from the empty and quiet morgue were the living proof of my anxiety. But soon they arrived, bringing the corpse as promised. I didn't have time to uncover it from the plastic bag before Chris decided to finally explain what had happened. "We found her in an old apartment building downtown, the cheap and small kind. The neighbors called saying they were smelling something rotting inside apartment 400, and we got inside. We could see it was smelling really, really bad. I swear it was like I stuck my head inside a corpse, actually. We only found her," he explained. I immediately thought this was going to be one of the hard cases where the body is rotten beyond recognition and we'd have to take DNA samples, or the worst case scenario, examine the dental arcade. If you're any familiar with the putrefaction process, you know that in order for something to smell this bad, to the point of the neighbors being able to smell it through closed doors and windows, it must have been dead for a long time. I opened the bag expecting something far different than what it really was. The corpse was in pristine condition. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it was fresh, something from minutes ago. No smell, no rigor mortis, nothing except for the usual pallor mortis, or as the livor mortis was only starting to take shape. The only thing that contradicted this theory was indeed the awful smell of putrefaction. "Wait, was this the only body you found?" I asked. "Yeah, we searched the whole apartment looking for something else that could have been causing the smell. It wasn't a hard search as the place was pretty much empty and we found nothing. It's really her," he said. Yeah, I could smell it. It was her indeed. The apartment was empty, so she was living there, or did they rob it? No, the neighbors said the apartment wasn't rented. Nobody was living there. Then who is she? Have no idea. She doesn't live there, has no ID. We're looking for someone in the missing registers, but she looks kind of foreign to me. I had to agree. The woman resembled someone from a certain neighboring country, judging by her physical appearance, but again, it wasn't my job to determine this. All I could do was take DNA samples for examination in worst case scenario. In the end, Chris left and I started the autopsy. My original idea for the subject was poisoning. Cumulative poisons usually cause the insides of the victim to decompose quickly, and the rigor mortis sets in faster, but much more weakly. It made sense initially. She had no signs of physical or sexual violence, her clothes were clean and tidy, she didn't seem to have struggled or reacted. I could even see the discoloration, along with livor mortis, in her abdomen area. I took a note of a cut, what seemed to be an appendectomy. It could be useful for tracking her identity, as it was recent. It was a little bigger than it usually is, but that could be due to complications during the surgery. The complication would be no surprise, seeing how badly done the incision and the stitches were made. However, when I opened her up, I realized things were far more confusing than I had expected. Her insides were rotting like they should be with such a bad smell. The cause of death, well, it was quite obvious. Blood loss. There was so much blood around her organs that it looked like a sea. And speaking of her guts, they were cut like Swiss cheese. Imagine someone opening you up and stabbing randomly your organs more than 100 times. I counted 109 wounds, discarding occasional scratches from the blade entering and exiting the abdominal cavity. Then, closing up the wound to preserve the outside. Makes zero sense. Why have all this work when it's easier and less time consuming to just stab altogether? I know by experience that killers sometimes do things that aren't rational or sensible for multiple reasons. Fear, despair, thrill, joy, you name it. After all, those who kill aren't in their best mental state, usually. What surprised me was that in this specific case, closing her up to mask the wounds made sense. When digging through her entrails, I found a little shining green rock. That was the first time I saw and touched a real emerald. It was quite small, maybe the size of a penny, but after some more digging, I found more and more emeralds, some even bigger than that. One of them was as tall as half my little finger and as large as a 50-cent dollar coin. There were exactly 17 stones inside her abdominal cavity. 17 real emeralds, as I'd later know under examination. I called Chris immediately and told him to inform his superiors about what was happening. Even if this woman was picked at random, we were dealing with gemstone traffic probably. She had millions of dollars worth of gems inside of her body. I tried my best to discover anything I could about her. Took DNA samples and fingerprints for a record in our country, but unfortunately, the victim came up clean. She was indeed a foreigner, as we thought. Blood samples also came clean. No sign of drug use or alcohol use, which means that she probably felt the whole thing being done to her. She hadn't eaten in a while, although it was hard to know, considering the wounds made her stomach acid leak and damage her entrails, but I was really meticulous while at it. She had no other scars, tattoos, piercings, moles, or any feature that would make her stand out. Her identity is still a mystery. We got in contact with the neighboring countries, but she still remains a Jane Doe. No reports of missing gemstones have been made, leading us to believe that this is truly a case of traffic. I still have no idea on why she was rotting inside, but her outside seemed more preserved. Maybe she was frozen and stored somewhere? It's possible, though formaldehyde and other compounds weren't found in exterior tissue. And besides, the person who supposedly owns the apartment doesn't even exist. It's a fake name with fake data as well. The neighbors saw nothing, and someone couldn't climb 4 stories of a building in downtown without at least catching attention. It's not part of my work ethics to know about the outcome of a case, but we're dealing with all kinds of exceptions here. I have no idea what is going on, but I would like to know. Alright, you guys, I'm going to read one more scary story for you all, and this one is called I Was 17 the First Time I Died by Life is Strange, Me Too. The first time I died, I was 17. I had gotten into a bad car crash with a drunk driver, and as I lay on the pavement, among the blood and the broken glass, my vision started to go dark, and I felt a strong tugging sensation, like my body was being yanked up and pulled through a straw. I saw faint dots of light fast approaching, and a feeling of peace overtook me. This is it, I remember thinking. This is the end. But it wasn't the end. Not for me, anyway. I could feel myself being jerked back, the sensation not unlike slamming on your brakes and being pulled back by your seatbelt. Suddenly, I was looking down at my own body. eyes wide and still, laying in a pool of way too much blood. I thought I had become a ghost, but the reality was much stranger. I was inside the body of a paramedic who had just arrived on the scene. When I realized what had happened, I got up and started running. I still don't know why, but that's what I did. I tried for a while to adjust to my new life, a wife I didn't love, 2 kids I didn't know how to take care of. Soon enough, it became clear that I couldn't live this life. So I put a shotgun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. I didn't know what I expected. I didn't know if the first time had been a fluke, some sort of cosmic accident. Would I die, or would I be reborn again as someone else? I soon got my answer. As soon as I pulled the trigger, I felt that tugging sensation again, and I was pulled into the body of the person physically closest to me, my wife. I felt bad when I pulled the trigger on her, but I couldn't live like that. Living someone else's life is like wearing clothes that don't fit. Your life doesn't fit, even your body doesn't fit. So I became a drifter of sorts, living one life for a while until it became unbearable, then pulling the trigger on it. After a while, I realized I could use my talent to make money. There are a lot of people who want someone else dead, and they're willing to pay more if it looks like a suicide. I became a sort of legend on the darknet, the assassin that could make the targets kill themselves. No trail to lead back to anyone. I made a lot of money, though the money wasn't really important. After all, if I needed the money, I could just swap bodies with someone who had it. I guess it was just something to do, a way to retain my individuality. It didn't matter whose body I was in. I was who I was, the greatest hitman to ever live. But eventually someone caught on. My house was swarmed with officials from some government agency I'd never heard of. They performed all kinds of tests on me, brought in homeless people, and had me swap bodies with them so they could take all kinds of measurements. In the course of their tests, they forced me to kill more people than I ever had on my own. Eventually, they decided I was too dangerous to live, but they lacked the ability to kill me. So they gave me a choice. I could either be locked up in solitary confinement, arms and legs wrapped to a bed until I died of natural causes, or I could work for them. Obviously, I chose the latter, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I don't really care for the work, but they tell me I'm doing a good thing for my country, that I'm protecting the freedom and sovereignty of its citizens. I don't buy it. If they knew I was writing this, they'd put me in solitary without a second thought. So why am I writing this? Why risk it? I suppose I'm trying to do something good for once in my life. I just hope my words reach someone who can make a difference. Maybe even someone who knows how to stop me. Because until that happens, nobody is safe. Writers, bloggers, public figures, any voices of dissent can now be silenced without a trace. God help you if they decide to silence you. Alright, you guys, that was both stories. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know they were a little bit different than the first round, so let me know. Do you like the stories more from the first episode or from this episode? Let me know down in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. If you do enjoy my content, feel free to subscribe. Yay, we're at 10,000. It's so exciting. I'm so excited. But yeah, I love you guys so very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. I love you guys. Bye.